Throngs of people and cacophony of chatter was the usual comfort of the market. A small trip for a treat for my sweet Calliope. Her little hand was encompassed by my own as we navigated through the bodies, her little voice piping up and describing the world around her. Motherhood has its own moments of blessings. The stall with the fig cakes was our usual stroll to when the monotony of the villa got to be too much. Fresh air, vibrant peoples, a change of pace. Sweet Calliope's eyes lit up as she surveyed the confections in front of her, her little amber eyes consuming all that lie on the table, fingers making little fists so she wouldn't grab. We selected our treat and paid when the excited shouts came from down the road. On the river! And something else I couldn't make out. Small snippets of conversations, but no real details. It wasn't fear. It was excitement. My sweet girl, with a mouthful of her cake, started to follow the crowd. I suppose we were both curious. People began to move faster, so I perched my girl on my hip, keeping her from being overrun. Nearing the water's edge, I could see very little, the backs of heads and the swaying of bodies blocking what the excitement was all about. "Mama! A goddess!" little Calliope cried, pointing her honey-sticky fingers over the water. The vision appeared. Purple sails, dancing women, such a display of elegance and opulence, radiating divinity. My own eyes had never before seen such things. The figure laid under the golden canopy was the real center of it. She radiated everything a goddess should, or would, or did. My mind could hardly grasp it all in one place. Unmistakable. A vision of Aphrodite. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Brandon. And welcome to the Time Travelers Club. So, the Civil War is finally over. The assassins of Caesar, self-proclaimed liberators, lie dead. Antony had done most of the work because Octavian had called in sick again. We all have that one coworker, right? And yet they're always like, oh, they're like the number 1% sales employee of the month. You're like, whatever. Anyway, and there had been a couple close calls. But in the end, the Caesarians and the Second Triumvirate had succeeded. Both sides had experienced horrific casualties, though. Cassius had ended his own life after a misunderstanding. Legend even has it that he used the very dagger that had been used to assassinate Caesar to do the deed. Brutus had thrown himself upon his own sword. As the victors approached, their reactions were incredibly telling, and maybe even a little surprising. It is said that Antony removed his expensive purple cloak and laid it carefully over the body of the fallen Brutus. He declared that it should be buried with his former colleague. However, once Octavian arrived, he ordered that Brutus's head to be severed and displayed at Rome. For the record, it was lost en route.
But by the end of 42 BCE, Octavian had gained control over much of the western half of the Roman Republic, and Antony, the eastern half, with Lepidus, sweet Lepidus, largely marginalized.
Poor Lepidus.
In the summer of 41 BCE, Antony established his headquarters at Tarsos in Anatolia and summoned Cleopatra there in several letters. But she had a plan. It was a risk, but she was going to set up some tension. Set the scene, shall we? After all, time and distance make the heart grow fonder, as they say. So she left him on red. It wasn't until the appearance of Antony's personal envoy, Quintus Dellius, that she began to make her move. He's just like, we're not playing.
This is like, I don't know, if this was like a modern like interpretation, it'd be like this guy, he's been sending all these messages, and then finally he sends his buddy over to your apartment to knock on the door. And be like, hey, are you gonna message my friend back? I think today that would be honestly kind of scary.
Terrifying, actually.
But like also like I guess you would get the hint that maybe you should message this guy back if you tell him no. But
or call the cops.
Right.
Maybe.
Do something, but yeah.
Perhaps she realized she had strung him along enough if he was sending someone this important. Clearly, letters weren't going to be enough. If he wanted a meeting with the most powerful woman in the world, the pharaoh of the mighty and ancient Egypt, he was going to have to do better than that. But the message was clear. She was not going to just appear like some common lackey or client ruler. She was, at the very least, a political equal. And unlike him, she answered to no one in her lands.
However, there was no denying that this meeting wasn't just about exchanging pleasantries. She knew it was under the pretext of her explaining her actions, or lack of, during the Roman Civil War. Cleopatra would need to clear up the misconception that she had supported the liberators during the war. But what position she would be in during those talks? And yes, that's an intentional innuendo.
Innuendo.
No. Oh, not after what we just talked about.
Oh, shh.
I'm not going to say. That's for us. You can speculate. Anyway. But whatever position she was going to be in, would determine the outcome. The meeting in Tarsus in 41 BCE remains one of the most calculated and consequential encounters in human history. It wasn't just a meeting of two powerful and, let's admit it, sexy people. It was a high-stakes merger of a bankrupt superpower and a wealthy but fragile kingdom.
So, the arrival. But even after Delius's visit, Cleopatra stalled one last time. She knew the situation was tense, but this time she needed to prepare her grand entrance. During this time, to consolidate his power over the eastern provinces, Antony had also been busy. He and his victorious legions had made their way from Italy to Asia. On his journey, he was greeted by adoring crowds in Athens, where he would be ceremoniously crowned and hailed as the new Dionysus.
Yeah, and this is like really important to the story, right? It's kind of why we chose at the beginning to discuss, Dionysus and Isis, right? I think Isis became pretty clear pretty quick because Cleopatra kind of made that her brand. But yeah, no, Mark Antony was also known as this new Dionysus. And remember, Athens is kind of his old stomping ground.
So remember, not only was Dionysus a god of wine and debauchery, but had a long history of him being a god of the people, and he was a god of revolution and freedom. This civil war, to some, had been a revolution against the old Roman oligarchs who had been oppressing the poor and non-Latin peoples of their empire. And let's remember some of the stories of Dionysus and his conquests of the East. Antony was in many ways an embodiment of all of this, especially with his long, beautiful curls, square jaw, and by all accounts, just ripped body.
Which I love the biography I've been reading. It's a one on Cleopatra, and there's a quote in there where she says something along. She's describing how hot Antony is, right? Just trying to really bring that point close to home, and she's talking about how he's this short, toga on with rolling hips. So
men with rolling hips.
Antony and the rolling hips. He's hot. And so he's caked out too, guys. Got that ass.
He got that ass.
Yes,
Smack
ma'am.
that ass. Make it jiggle.
We will absolutely objectify this man in the story because you know what? I feel like we've done not we so much, but people have done that to Cleopatra for so long. It's fine. Let's
Absolutely.
objectify hot ass Mark Antony. He was easy to look at.
All I can think is the cat calls. Smile for me, baby.
He probably would. He'd be like, yeah. He was proud of it. Good for him.
Good for him. This in combination with the plans of his war on Rome's elusive and ancient enemy, the Parthian Empire. Perhaps he even believed himself a sort of incarnation of the god.
Yeah, this was the same empire that poured, was it gold or silver down Crassus's fucking throat? You know, the landlord supreme there.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But perhaps that's why others had failed before. You can almost see him setting himself up as if he was victorious, much like Caesar had before his victory over Gaul.
So, as he marched, he eventually came to a city called Tarsus, the flourishing capital of Cilicia, near the southeastern coast of modern-day Turkey. And from there, he had been making those requests and was growing rather impatient. But finally, in the summer of 41 BCE, Cleopatra made her way to Antony. She made the 700, because again, it's not around the corner, guys. Like, he's like, come on, what are you waiting for? It's a long ass journey. Whatever. But she did, and it was 700-mile trip up the coast of the Levant in naval galleys, pausing to stop and rest overnight at cities that lay along the path. This was not a coincidence, and word of this great queen and all the pageantry and riches she carried will have spread like fire, reaching Tarsus long before she did.
The air in Tarsus was thick with the scent of expensive incense before the ship even came into view. Mark Antony, the master of the Roman East, sat on his tribunal in the city square, ready to demand an account from the Egyptian queen for her perceived lack of support during the Roman civil wars. But the crowd began to melt away, drawn by a sensory pull towards the river Cydnus.
I mean, and that's kind of such an amazing image, right? Imagine you're like doing your thing and drifting along the wind from the sea, which just keep that in mind because we're about to describe what's about to happen, right? Like, and it's absolutely part of the imagery. But like you just get the scent, faint at first, then it just rolls across the sea waves, washing over you as they get closer. Like it's such girl a lot.
It is a sensory experience.
But Jesus, like the pageantry of it all, the goddamn the theater, right? At the mouth of the river, was a lagoon where she most likely transferred her entourage from those big naval galleys to elaborately decorated barges. Cleopatra entered Tarsus via a port gate, which supposedly stands to this day, while what's there is most likely a much later medieval reconstruction. It is still most likely what marks the spot of this momentous event.
Cleopatra did not arrive as a supplicant. She arrived as Aphrodite, and she knew exactly who her audience, especially Antony, was in particular.
Yeah, and just like Aphrodite, she's coming from the sea. The
She
sea
is.
foam.
The sea foams. More so than Caesar, he appreciated hedonistic spectacle. It would be the displays of wealth and power that would win his heart over. So she floated up the bright crystalline river in a blinding explosion of color and scent. Her barge featured a gilded stern, purple sails, purple, guys, highlight that, purple sails, and silver oars that glinted in the bright sun as they dipped in and out of the water. Had she not already proven herself supreme at stage management? There was no question now. Her fairest young women were dressed as sea nymphs and graces, some steering the rudder, others working the ropes, and yet still others playing sweet music on flutes and harps. Cleopatra herself was the grandest character of them all, though. She lay under a canopy of gold. It was gold cloth, the very image of divine Venus herself, fanned by boys dressed as cupids. This was not mere vanity. It was a sophisticated display of soft power. She was signaling to Antony that while he held the legions, she held the divine favor and the inexhaustible wealth of the mighty Nile. This was the exact opposite of the girl who met Caesar in a hemp sack all those years ago.
Indeed, know your audience, right? Like, I don't think Caesar would have appreciated the pageantry so much. I don't think she could have done it anyway. It was war.
Oh, absolutely not.
But Caesar was more about, oh, that was clever. And, like, it's not that Mark Antony doesn't like a smart girl. He absolutely does. But he loves pageantry more than anything else. And
he does. And also, it brings to mind, I don't recall her name right off the top of my head, but in Athens, in Greece, there was a belief that beauty meant that you were blessed by the gods, and there was a woman that was excused of murder because...
Or no, it was not murder. She was accused of blasphemy.
Oh, blasphemy!
Because, mind you, and I love this, because someone else sculpted her as Venus. Well, Venus, because that's what they were calling her.
True.
But, like, whatever, Aphrodite. But it was like but the fact that she would even allow him to use her as a model, it was apparently her fault, but whatever. She ends up getting, acquitted, though, so that's good.
Oh, absolutely.
They didn't kill her over it. That's nice.
They didn't kill her over it because she literally stripped off her robe in the middle of the Senate and was like, if I am guilty, why did the gods bless me like this?
Yeah, she just flashed her tits, and they were all like, oh, you're right. Thanks for clearing that up.
So
Thank you, ma'am.
The fact that there is so much beauty and wealth and power being displayed in Greece, right? In a more Grecian way, that is showing that she is already blessed by the gods.
Yeah.
So it just, I have to put two and two together.
Aphrodite, why not Hera, right? A queen. Mm-hmm. Because Aphrodite has agency.
Yes,
control over her own sexuality, which scared the fuck out of these men. But they also loved it, and hence why she's a goddess. But, like, yeah, it's like this is someone who was married off to Hephaestus, and she's like, and I'm going to go after me a god of war, because fuck y'all.
Well, actually, technically, fuck him. But...
Yeah, and he was okay with it.
Absolutely.
But, like, yeah, she was just... And also, she didn't want to put a label on it. She's like, I never married him.
Exactly.
She's a good fuck. And she's like, and I'm my own person, and also I can make gods do shit that they don't want to do, which that's a little problematic. But whatever. The point is that's why she's embodying that. Not just because of the surface level, oh, she's pretty. No. It's I have agency. I have power. And I cannot be tamed. Which that is the message here.
And that is so... powerful.
Exactly. So, from the time she arrived, masses thronged to the shore to catch even a glimpse at this remarkable sight. Imagine that scene from Disney's 1992 Aladdin with, Genie played by a white guy. But we love it. It's okay. We love it. And with Prince Ali, and you kind of get the idea. Honestly, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of where they got the inspiration for all that.
Absolutely.
Right? But as it came to its end, Tarsus emptied entirely. So Antony, who had been sweltering in the hot marketplace conducting business, found himself quite alone on his tribune. To him, Cleopatra sent word that, and this is a quote, Venus has arrived to revel with Bacchus for the good of Asia. End quote. Hot.
Holy shit.
Love this.
She just, come here, lover boy.
Yes. Will he respond? He's stupid if he doesn't.
He's definitely stupid if he doesn't. But wasting absolutely no time, Antony sent a message inviting her to dinner.
That's our boy.
She countered by inviting him to her ship instead.
Ooh.
She was setting the tone here. And she would really be the one that was on top.
Yeah, she would.
Ride him, girl. By forcing him to come to her, she established herself as the host and therefore the superior in the social hierarchy of the ancient world.
What you guys aren't seeing is the gestures she's making. She says, forcing him to come to her, and she's like the finger wag from like old timey cartoons, and I love it.
I can't help but
You
talk
can't
with my
see
hands.
it. I love it.
Here's the thing. Eventually, when we have like cameras on
Yes.
everything, it's gonna make so much more sense. But what happened next would reveal in both parties the kind of behavior Cicero had deplored. He would be rolling in his grave.
Yes, he would. And
Roll, fucker.
Good.
Roll.
We love this. So, when Antony stepped onto the deck, the immediate conversation was a dance, likely a dance, right, of Roman bluster and Egyptian grace. He likely began with accusations like, why had she not sent me more help against Brutus and Cassius? And, I don't want to call it her defense, but because it's not really a defense when it's true, right?
No.
And, she spoke of the intrigue and the unrest of the previous years, the grain shortages, the plague, the drought, the famine, the internal revolts that had stripped her of her standing military. The Romans.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, hello, they're not Egyptian forces. These were Roman forces left to her, and she essentially was sending them back, and they made their own goddamn decisions because they're grown-ass men.
They're grown-ass men, and they don't have loyalty to her.
No.
They have loyalty to Rome. Rome was in a civil war.
Yeah.
They chose their side.
I mean, and at the end of the day, if they were, left there by, Julius Caesar, that fucker's dead. Okay? Mm-hmm. That man be gone. So, the one person they would listen to is not there. So they're making their own political. You thought that they were a monolith and they're just pawns they can push? No, they're people with their own ideas and opinions, especially their leaders. And maybe the leader, like we discussed, got there and was like, you know what? I agree with Cassius and whatever. Maybe they were a little salty that this guy left them there to take care of his side piece. And they're like, what the hell?
Take care of his side piece.
We don't get to go home. No, but for real, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that, but think of it from their perspective. You think they didn't want to go home?
Oh, guaranteed they wanted to go home.
And they know if they continue to work for Cleopatra, they ain't going home.
No, absolutely not.
While we're making it, we last episode kind of talked, it was betrayal, and it was. I don't know, I can kind of empathize. I mean, also she was a woman, they can't stand vagina, but, like we said,
they like butthole.
They don't like that either. They don't like that either. They don't like sex. Sex is gross. That's just the way the Roman Stoics are. Also vulvia.
Vulvia.
But for real, but on the other hand, let's humanize them. They had families and stuff, and they're being told you get to be stationed here.
Possibly forever.
Right. It's I get it. I could get that too, right? Mm-hmm. We are only getting these stories, a lot of times written hundreds of years after the events happened, but also through the filter of people who were rich, old, white, and probably not even there, even if that had been the right time period, and we're getting it through their opinions. No one's, from the army, a common soldier, writing this down.
No.
And even if we did, we would only have one account. So it's, not everyone's account.
No.
It's not like today where you can interview these people.
It's not like Cicero where he had his burn book and he was constantly writing his thoughts and his feelings. A lot of these people, they don't have written records like
right.
that. They don't.
So we don't know entirely what's going through, especially these lower rank and file soldiers' heads.
Indeed.
I can assume some misogyny, but also maybe they just want to go home, and I guess I could get that. The point of all of this being that when they accuse her of not sending her soldiers, they weren't really hers, right? So, and she's explaining all of this on top of the fact that all that internal stuff that was going on. And the negotiation was never about Cleopatra providing these extra freaking soldiers. Antony knew her army was depleted. Instead, the deal was wealth for protection. It was a protection racket, right? Just like it had been before, right?
Always.
Right. So Antony needed he had thousands of veterans to pay, and the same reason those ones probably abandoned Cleopatra, because they were promised all this crap, and then they were still forced to stay there for years, right? After they had been away from home for years. Like, some of these people had been away from home for 20-something years. Like, that's insane.
It's crazy.
Right. And so he's got veterans who he has to pay, and a massive campaign against Parthia now to fund, right? And he needed liquid capital. That gold, silver, and most importantly, grain. Gotta feed your people. Now, Cleopatra, she still needed this quote-unquote Roman sword, right? Which we don't love it. Okay, I want her to be beautiful and independent and didn't need no man. But for whatever reason, maybe it's because it's a quick fix. I don't know. Because right now she ain't got no military. And during the famine, I guess I could understand why she wasn't raising her own Egyptian forces. But now that it's all over, you can kind of question why. I can only say it's probably because of just time. And do you really want to be vulnerable for that long to train a whole new army?
Or it could have potentially been seen as an act of aggression.
Correct. So I don't know 100%. I could see that. My point is that she, for whatever reason, believed, whether it was the status quo, whether there was other things going on, that she still needed this Roman protection, right? Even though she's been burned many, many times. She wanted her throne secured, right? Like, you are the queen. And her sister Arsinoe, remember her? The 13-year-old who pretty much said, went out the burning palace during a siege with her middle fingers up.
Yeah.
Because, her sister was shacking up with this old fart. And she was like, fuck you guys. This is bullshit.
This is disgusting. You're gross.
And then, she was like, he's in the fuck out of there. But then they lost, so they shoved her ass out in a temple somewhere because Cleopatra told Caesar, yo, you need to kill this bitch. You don't understand my family. And he's like, no, she is 13. Relax. I could see both sides of that argument. She's 13, relax. But we know that he killed a lot of people in Gaul. I don't know what, but, when they're royal, somehow it's different. But whatever.
Apparently.
Whatever. So she's still there. And she's like, so for the final time, kill that bitch. And she also wanted the return of Egyptian territories that Rome had annexed. And that, honestly, is some big dick energy.
Very much so.
Right? Essentially, she would go and fund his war. And in this exchange, his legions would become her de facto National Guard.
So, to seal the deal, Cleopatra hosted a series of banquets that lasted several days on her grand ship. These weren't just dinners. They were psychological warfare designed to prove that Egypt's resources were infinite. The food was a fusion of Hellenistic luxury and Egyptian fertility. Antony, a man of legendary appetites, was met with wild game. Roasted boar stuffed with smaller birds, gazelle seasoned with cumin, and waterfowl from the Delta marshes.
It kind of, I don't know. Do you think they had that French dish where they feed that little canary cognac till it gets super duper fat, and then they just drown it in a pot of more cognac, and then they cook it?
God.
I saw that episode of American Dad where it's Francine, she's singing with the bird, and then she's just holding its head under the water. With Dad inside looking straight ahead.
Possibly.
I would love that.
Possibly. Or foie gras.
Yes.
So there was also seafood. So trays of Mediterranean urchins, oysters, and salted Nile fish served with fermented fish sauce, garum. There were sweets, fig cakes drenched in Attic honey, dates stuffed with nuts, and pomegranate wine. And then, of course, the wine. It was poured from gold vessels encrusted with gems. Vessels she reportedly told Antony he could keep as parting gifts for his friends.
The bitch got party favors, guys. Also, I don't know, if I was a peasant, I'd be kind of mad. Like, look, I don't know, maybe if I was Antony, I'd be like, I thought you all just said you had a famine. Where's all this food coming from?
But they can't eat golds and gems.
I know, but there's a lot of food here. I'm just saying. Like, I don't know, but like, yeah, my people were starving, carved into the boar, stuffed with more birds. Like, I don't know. It's just, I know. It's They're rich. They're the Bezos. No one's a good guy in the story, guys. These are rich fucks. They were never going to starve, okay? No. Unless they're captured by enemy or something. Like, if they have any kind of free agency, they were never going to starve, okay?
Oh, absolutely not.
Like, literally, they could be the only people left in the kingdom, and they would have had food. But, you know. So, these negotiations lasted roughly, you know, like about 4 or 5 days, week, something like that. What brought them to an end, though, was, you know, not a disagreement, but they were totally aligned in interests. It was a smashing success. Everyone's happy, right? Well fed, whatever, you know, everyone's satisfied. That's all I'm saying. Antony, though, was captivated. But, like, not just because she's hot, because she is hot, but because, honestly, he's like, damn, girl, you got this shit down. He was impressed with her efficiency and this, honestly, the management of this. It was a good impression, right? It was like a business deal. I mean, and the history sometimes makes it like she was seducing him. I like to think if it's a seduction, it's almost like a Wall Street kind of thing.
Yeah, it's more of like a business seduction. You wine and dine your clients. Like, think old school real estate agent. You're taking your clients out for dinner.
And, like, of course they're going to fall in love and stuff eventually, like, especially him. But, like, that happens over time. But, like, at least from here, this beginning, right? Like, it's definitely, like, you know, she's very cool. Like, they just spend, like, 4 or 5 days. Like, she's fun. We've had this good meal. And then, like, she seems to have a good head on her shoulders. Like, she's around my age. I remember her that one time when she was, like, 12, and I thought she was hot, which is problematic, but whatever. He's like, oh, yeah, you were that hot 12-year-old. I saw you with your dad. Oh. And she's like, oh, yeah, weren't you in your 20s? Like,
around my age, my ass.
I know. To be fair, look, the age gap is terrible in the ancient world. She could have been stuck with some 50-something-year-old dude having his kid. Oh, wait.
She already did.
Right. So let's be real. This, honestly...
it's more contemporary.
I mean, let's be real. Like, if someone today was in their like late 20s, early 30s, dating someone in their, you know, early 40s, that's not horrific.
No, that's not scandalous.
That's pretty normal, especially if that, like, 41-year-old guys smoking fucking hot and ripped and shit. Like, there's women who aspire for the silver fox, let's be real.
I mean,
but
salt and pepper looks good.
And he's not even that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, in all reality, this isn't that bad. It was problematic when she was 12. Anyway.
Absolutely.
But, you know, whatever. So, he's like, oh, yeah, I called dibs. Caesar didn't know about the dibs. So, on a serious note, though, this was the final deal. First was the elimination of rivals. And, you guessed it, Antony agreed to order the execution of our girl, Arsinoe, who at that time was taking sanctuary in the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. Actually, from what I understand, like, the story's pretty ratchet. The guys show up. She's in the temple, right? And, you know, of course, the priestesses, because the Temple of Artemis in Ephesus, amazing. It's about womanhood and empowering women, and it's great. But yeah, so they're like, well, you can't kill her here. So they pretty much dragged her out by her, like, hair, and then choked her to death on the steps of the temple because she was no longer inside the temple. It's like that scene from, like, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Disney version. Imagine if some, like, Frollo had just gone in there, dragged Esmeralda by her hair, and just killed her on the steps instead.
Much
it's like Sanctuary.
Quasimodo's mom.
Right, but, like, imagine if they had she's like Sanctuary, she had actually made it in, and then they just, like, went in there and dragged her out anyway.
Yep. I have to wonder, though, what is up with Romans and strangulation. Like, did it,
Oh, that's a rabbit hole we can't go down today.
oh, okay,
There's
rabbit
a
hole.
lot there, including murder holes.
We talked about the murder holes before.
Well, there's the murder holes, but I've learned actually a little bit about essentially like, so when they killed Mark Antony's stepdaddy there, specifically the word is used sacred strangulation. So there's like a process, and there's a lot with like the wordage, I guess. Because you can't, it's like, where's the evidence? Like documents, so you're not going to find much, but it's like actually dissecting like the etymology and linguistics of like what those words mean. And essentially, it's like crushing of the throat. So it's like garroting in this dark hole, and it's this whole thing.
It's just,
it's like reserved. Yeah. So, and it's like in there, like, and to be fair, if I was to go into it, you're in this dark, filthy fucking hole. No light touching you. Even the sun can't. Is not allowed to see you for your shame. As they like crush your throat with like this like thin rope. It sounds like almost like a
piano wire almost.
Not piano wire. It's thicker than that. I'm just trying to think of like the gauge, like twine.
Possibly.
Like it's not because they say rope in particular, but I can't imagine it's like if you imagine like a hangman's noose or something. It's not that.
No.
It's like thinner than that. But it's like the point is like to pull and pull until like it crushes it.
Oh God, that would take time.
Correct. And mind you, some of these people were in the murder hole for like from Vercingetorix's case because they did that to him 6 years. Yeah, poor Vercingetorix. You know, he deserves maybe a story one day. Yeah, because he was starved for a long time too.
So all right, back to where we're supposed to be.
So try to not imagine maybe a young 20-something-year-old getting her throat crushed garrotic style on the temple steps. So then there was that territorial expansion thing, right? And Antony promised to restore parts of Syria and Cilicia to the Ptolemaic Empire, which is kind of wild. He's just giving away territory of his country. Yeah.
Indeed.
Right. No permission. And then he also probably wasn't hard to convince him. Promised to winter with her in Alexandria, right? So like let's continue talking back at my place. Netflix and chill, right?
Netflix and chill.
Right. Nothing shady going on here.
Never.
As we are about to see, because Caesar did the same thing with her, remember?
Yes,
Little pleasure trip down the Nile, yeah.
Indeed.
And that ended up with a baby. No spoilers, though. No spoilers.
So despite their agreement, they did not stay together for long. By 40 BCE, Antony had to settle affairs in Syria and deal with the fallout of his wife Fulvia's political maneuvers in Rome.
Which, I mean, about that Syria part, really? They were kind of upset that you just sold their entire country to another nation?
Oh my gosh!
It's almost like Greenland? Anyway. Spoilers?
Spoilers! But, don't worry. We're about to get into it because this is a whole ass thing. So Fulvia, of course, she played a large role in Mark Antony's political career. This is why Cicero hated her.
Right?
Because she has a vagina.
Because not just because you have a vagina. If she was a vagina and wouldn't stop running that fucking mouth, okay? True. Like, how dare you? Who told you could talk, lady?
True. Very true.
She's not at home, barefoot and pregnant.
How dare you? So she was involved in his policies, such as the decision to give Sicilians Roman citizenship.
That's actually really cool.
It's good overall, but...
Also, why didn't they have it already?
Good question. Very good question.
Well, I think I have the answer to that. It's because they were Sicilians, they had a native population, and then they were also Greek. That's where we actually get the word Greek, actually.
Yes.
From there. Because the Romans were like, oh, you're all Greeks. They're like, no, that's the one town over there in Sicily. We're Hellenes. And they're like, oh, Greeks. Okay. And it's stuck. But yeah, so, I mean, but that's cool. She's like, hey, maybe we should give some of these people, like voting rights.
Rights.
That's wild.
Buck wild. So she also confirmed Deiotarus in his kingdom. So he was, what was it called? Like a chief? Like a high chief?
It was called
pretty much a
the
king?
the chief tetrarch, which I mean it's nuanced. We'll just say like like a king or like the head chief, right? Something like that. There was this Gallic tribe, which when we normally think of Gaul, we're thinking of like modern day like France, parts of like Germany and Austria and stuff like that, going up into like Belgium, parts of Spain, right? They're not a monolith. This is what I know. This is crazy, but they're not a monolith. But there was also another small population in like Asia Minor. So they were kind of this like island out there. But yeah,
Very much. But she was also a very, very persuasive campaigner for her husband. So obviously, we know this woman can talk. We know that she is very vocal, and she will let the people know exactly what is on her mind.
and she's also loyal as hell.
Yes, she is.
We love her.
It is also possible that former Clodian policies were continued through him. But they had 2 sons together. Both of them are going to be Marcus Antonius. So you're going to get Antyllus.
Well, you've got Marcus Antonius Antyllus because original, and then it's Illus Antonius. Both of them are Antony, though. Both of them are
Yeah,
Antony.
both of them are Antony. So Antyllus and Illus.
Which I think I could be wrong, but then you had like Cicero's brother, also Cicero, but he was Quintus Cicero. I don't know if that means like Cicero 5. Like it's like the
pretty much.
like you're Cicero 1, Cicero 2, Cicero 3. Not the first, second, or third. It's just like they do it with the daughters. We talked about that. So.
Absolutely. But throughout their marriage, Fulvia defended Antony from Cicero's attacks, sustained his popularity with his soldiers, and was a block and hindering of Octavian's ascension to power.
And yeah, we know that she definitely helped Antony with Cicero's attacks.
Oh, yes.
Summoned. What?
Summoned. Fucking. Backhand his ass.
Stabby stab.
Stabby stab. Fulvia still retained the support of the gangs formerly ruled by her first husband, Clodius. So she still has a backing of her own. Yeah. She's got street gangs.
She got the street gangs. She's the Peaky Blinders.
You Peaky... I'm the Peaky fucking Blinders.
That needs to be Fulvia. You're going to have like all these like Cleopatra, Marcus, Antonius, Cicero. I'm fucking Fulvia! You have Cleo like, Antony, darling, come to my bed. And then they cut to like a Fulvia scene. She's like, Oi, where's my husband? And who the fuck's this twerp out there spreading rumors, huh? Fulvia the Vulvia.
Fulvia the Vulvia. By publicly associating himself with Clodius's children, Antony was able to gather that support, and through Fulvia's influence, to use what was left of Clodius's gangs in his own gang wars against Dolabella and his supporters.
Some historians believe she appeared on coins minted during her husband's campaign, though of course others disagree. But honestly, I hope so. Girl, represent.
Get it.
Get it. She demonstrated leadership during something called the Perusian War and unwavering support for Antony. Because we know she's loyal. We love her.
Indeed.
She alleged, and will it pay off? We shall see.
We shall see.
She allegedly accompanied Antony to his military camp at Brundisium back in 44 BCE, which is insane, but Appian also wrote that in December of 44 and again in 43 BC, while Antony was abroad and Cicero campaigned for Antony to be declared an enemy of the state, Fulvia, so we got the father-in-law, but Fulvia also tried to block such declarations by soliciting support for Antony. So she's like, you've got the official channel, right, with the father-in-law. He's the one like putting it out there like, no, you can't do this. People don't support it. And she's the back channel who's raising that support.
Absolutely. And she's just like, all right, you have the political ones. I'm gonna get the people. I'm gonna get the people.
And she's like, you're going to support my husband, right? And she may have had a bat, but yeah,
potentially. No, it's a billy club. It was absolutely a billy club.
Yeah, she's like, oi, you're going to support my husband, right? That's what I thought. Anyone with that accent, I'm sorry if I'm insulting you, but I don't know. Cockney, is that the accent? A bad Cockney?
No, I don't think necessarily a Cockney, but
oh, maybe she has got like a real strong Scottish accent.
I could see that.
I love that
I
too.
could see that. Highlander, there could be only one. Fuck. Antony formed the second triumvirate with Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus. Fuck that guy. And Marcus Aemilius Lepidus. Lepidus is just my favorite now.
Yeah,
like,
he's butters.
He's my favorite.
He's just a good boy.
He's a good boy.
Not really, these are all bad people, but he's like the least problematic. Apparently he really loved his wife too. That's nice. And there's no record that he ever cheated on her. And again, because like it's not really a part of the story, so it's not, I guess, spoiler, but not really. Eventually he stands up to Octavian at some point. But they capture, he gets sent to exile, and then they end up trying to prosecute his wife for all these things. So he goes back to Rome despite the exile and begs them to take him instead. Either to let her go, take me, it's me you want, and being moved by this, I guess the governor or whoever let him go with her.
Aww.
And I was just like, that's nice. I don't know. I can't see Caesar doing that. I'm sorry.
Caesar would not do that.
Even Antony. I mean, like, Antony's got the spoilers, got his own ending, but, you know, I don't know. I just, like, that's so romantic.
That is the kind of romance I die for. Like, come on.
And if he's cheating on her, no one's talking, so I don't know.
Exactly. So, the second triumvirate began to conduct the proscriptions to solidify the political alliance and to advance the Clodian interests. Fulvia's daughter Claudia was married to the young Octavian.
Well, I mean, again, I guess it's not problematic as far as age.
No, it's not, but still.
It's problematic because it's King Octavian.
Because it's fucking Octavian. Appian and Cassius Dio, which, realistically, anything Cassius Dio says is several hundred years removed.
So yeah, take it with a grain of salt or a boulder, whatever.
You know, whatever. But they describe Fulvia as being involved in the violent proscriptions that were used to destroy enemies and gain badly needed funds to secure control of Rome. Because it always will come down to money.
Also, I mean, what they're referring to here is maybe that story about Cicero where she stabbed his tongue like a toddler on the floor. But also I feel like they are implying billy clubs here, right?
Yeah, very much so.
I hope so. Good for her.
So Antony pursued his political enemies, especially Cicero, who had openly criticized him for abusing his powers as consul after Caesar's assassination. Although many ancient sources wrote that Fulvia was happy to take revenge against Cicero for Antony's and Clodius's sake. Cassius Dio is the only one who describes the joy with which she pierced the tongue of the dead Cicero with her golden hairpins as a final revenge against Cicero's power of speech. Yeah, fuck this guy.
But also, I mean, it's funny, the golden hairpins thing. I think in Oedipus Rex, I feel like this is why I think it's bullshit too. In Oedipus Rex, there's the scene where Oedipus realizes that he done fucked his mom and she killed herself. So he found that like his mom has done hung herself. So he takes her golden hairpins and gouges out his eyes so he could never see anything else again because he wants that to be the last image in his head of what he's done.
Yep.
So it feels like golden hairpins. Like there's always this like metaphor here, and I don't know.
Very much so. It doesn't feel real.
Nah, but she absolutely went to the forum, spat Lugiam, flipped the bird, and went on her way. That's our story.
We love.
Yeah. No fact. Just as many facts, by the way, as this guy. So
just as many.
So we're calling it canon. So in 42 BC, Antony and Octavian left Rome to pursue those assassins of Julius Caesar. We beat that one to death, right? So Fulvia was left behind as the most powerful woman in Rome, seeing as though she had already manifested her political aptitudes throughout the decades. I mean, so like Antony's leaving her kind of in charge because he respects a strong lady. We know that about him. He's not troubled at all. That's why we like him. Because, we don't like that he's a womanizer, but we do like that he respects a strong, authoritative woman and never seems to have any problematic things to say. So,
well, problematic, sexist things to say.
He's not, like, misogynistic. Like, clearly this proves it because he's like, yo, babe, I gotta go do some more shit. You my boo, you gonna hold down the fort, right?
You got this?
And
cool.
He's like, not even asking a question. He's like, you got this, bitch. Love you. Bye. I promise I won't do anyone else. She's like, yeah, sure.
Fingers crossed.
She's not even. She's like, yeah, whatever. Like, okay. She's like, damn, I should be mad, but look at that. Them rolling hips.
Look at that ass.
Look at that cake.
Yummy.
Yeah, she's like, I can't stay mad. What are we doing?
Everything.
I'm supposed to be a historian. I have the degree. So, again, grain of salt here. According to Cassius Dio, Fulvia controlled the politics of Rome, because here we go. All right. Dio wrote that, quote, the following year, Publius Servilius and Lucius Antonius, by the way, is Mark Antony's brother, and apparently he's going to be pussy whipped too by her, but whatever, nominally became consuls, but in reality, it was Antonius and Fulvia. She, the mother-in-law of Octavian, and the wife of Antony, had no respect for Lepidus. Oh, poor Lepidus.
Poor Lepidus.
Because of his slothfulness, and managed affairs herself, so that neither the Senate nor the people transacted any business contrary to her pleasure. Let me translate this in a way I think it's going down. Let's take the misogyny out of it. First of all, yes, Lepidus is a pushover. Okay?
Yes.
He's the guy you send in to calm things down.
He's gonna be chill. It's like, hey guys.
And he's a people pleaser, right? He's the one you send in when you're trying to cool shit down.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not one to like get shit done, right? And so you've got all the guys who do normally get shit done are out of town. And she's like, fuck it, someone's gotta do it. And people got mad about it. And she had to be more forceful because, vagina. She couldn't just actually, they're like, is someone talking? Like, who is that? A woman?
A woman?
What is she doing?
Women don't
I see this thing happening with her mouth. Like, what is that?
Is that words?
Right. And so, like, she has to sometimes say shit in a way you understand. She breaks your kneecaps and go, hey, you're listening now. Yes, sorry.
So shortly afterwards, the triumvirs distributed the provinces among themselves.
No one asked the people there, but hey, whatever.
Never. Lepidus took the west, and Antony went to Egypt, where he met Cleopatra. Octavian returned to Rome in 41 BCE to dispense land to Caesar's veterans.
Which I think we misspoke there. Lepidus didn't get shit. Octavian got west. Lepidus technically got west in the sense that he got like this little strip in North Africa.
Yeah. I mean, it's still west of Rome. But,
I know, but like
yeah.
Octavian got the west.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Octavian got what? Like Spain and...
I think that's
like,
it's about it. Spain.
Yeah.
But I mean, Spain was known for their silver and wealth, but like Antony definitely got the lion's share for sure. And then they all kind of like had a three-way menage a trois with like Italy.
As they do. So Octavian went to dispense the land to Caesar's veterans. He divorced Fulvia's daughter and accused Fulvia at aiming for supreme power. So he's accusing her of trying to be a Caesar.
Well, and it's underhand bullshit, but it's kind of brilliant, right? Because so what he's doing here, right, essentially is he runs back to Rome while, Antony's busy, and he goes ahead and does all the land grants to Caesar's veterans before anyone else could.
Yep.
So he's like, which to be fair, they have been fucking asking for a while. But since he's the one who signed the check, he gets to get the credit.
I wonder why signing the check in a certain time period and
And then, of course, this poor bitch don't get a thank you for holding the fort down because Octavian don't give a fuck about her. So all he sees is, oh, that's pretty much Antony here. But with a vagina, so I have an advantage.
Indeed. So, of course, Fulvia spotted this immediately. And she saw that Octavian was gaining the veterans' loyalty instead of Antony.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely at Antony's expense, right?
Completely. So Fulvia traveled constantly with her kids to the new settlements in order to remind the veterans of their debt to Antony.
Yeah, and I mean, this is smart. I mean, she's not... I mean, she probably has to bring the kids with her. I don't know, maybe not. She's rich. She probably could have, left them there. But by bringing them with her, it's giving this, misogynistic... She's playing into the misogyny.
She really
I'm
is.
a mother. These are the children of this great general who, who was in Gaul? Not Octavian. Who was at the Rubicon? Not Octavian. Who stopped Pompey? Not Octavian. Who was there in Alexandria? Well, technically not Antony either, but whatever. We're going to skip over that part.
I mean, technically, Antony's in Alexandria right now, but...
Well, no, but I'm thinking, okay, maybe don't talk about that part. That was when Antony was in charge of Rome, and he kind of fucked shit up. But we're going to skip over that. But, who was there when, originally when he got, assassinated and shit?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so she's like, you owe this guy. And,
everything.
Right. And Agrippina the Younger and the Elder, Agrippina the Elder in particular, did, years later, does this campaign. It is brilliant because Roman men in particular are suckers for moms. They love MILFs.
I think it's because of the Romulus and Remus.
Let's say they have mommy issues.
They got mommy issues. So Fulvia also tried to delay the land settlements until Antony returned to Rome so that both of them could share the credit.
Right. She's not even saying, Antony should get all of it. She's just like, yo, you're taking credit for all this shit, and that's not right.
Nope.
That's it. That's her audacity, by the way, that she gets condemned for throughout history, is, that's not fair. A, where were you for most of this? But also, did you call in sick?
Did you call in sick again? Were you in your sick bed?
Right.
During the battle?
Right. Whatever. But, she's like, I'm not even saying you can't sign the check. Just...
Sign it together.
Right. So
with Octavian in Italy and Antony abroad, Fulvia allied with her brother-in-law Lucius Antonius and publicly endorsed Mark Antony in opposition to Octavian.
Yeah, because she's kind of left with no choice. This guy's not playing ball, and the guy who should be there is not. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what else was she going to do? I mean, honestly, her fault here is loyalty.
Correct.
She's a better person than me. There's a point where I've been like, you know what, fuck it. If you can't be bothered to be here, I'm not doing this. I see what happens to fucking women. And then, I'm rich AF. Mm-hmm. I've done my part. Peace. But she keeps going because she's a better person than me. So, together with, Lucius Antonius, Fulvia raised 8 legions in Italy to fight for Antony's rights against Octavian. 8 legions, guys. This woman. Yes, she has Lucius Antonius, whoever this guy is, right? Because we have not heard of him up until this point. He can't be that important. But, she helps raise an army, a woman.
8 freaking legions.
And, that's going to be important in a minute. Remember that number. So, she raises these 8 legions in Italy. These are homegrown. To fight for Antony's rights against Octavian in an event at this point called the Perusian War. Which, honestly, I love this for her. A woman... Well, it wasn't her fault, but whatever. Still, a woman starting a war. Love this. The army occupied Rome for a short time, and Lucius organized his troops at a place called Praeneste, but eventually retreated to a place called Perusia. That's where this place gets the name from. Today, that would be modern day Perugia, which I'm pretty sure is like at the southern end of Italy there. I think towards the Boot Heel, maybe? Something like that. There, Octavian would besiege him, which, siege is not great.
No.
Lucius waited for Antony's legions in Gaul. So, not that he's waiting in Gaul, but the legions Antony owns that are in Gaul, right, to help come to his aid. However, unaware of the war, apparently, Antony was still in the eastern provinces, and these legions were unsure of his command, so they decided, we ain't gonna help you, Lucius. Sorry. Daddy Antony didn't tell us what to do. So...
Yuck.
So here we go again. Fulvia to the rescue, because she's like, Jesus Christ, you men. So she ends up helping him and urged Ventidius, them titties, Asinius, and Calenus from Gaul to help Lucius, and having gathered another army, she sent it to Lucius under the command of Plancus. So she raised another army.
She did it again. Oops,
Again.
She did it again.
Like, God, like, I love her because she's like, you men ain't shit. She gets it done with less resources and less authority. Like, she's just like, what the fuck's wrong with you guys? Like, get in there. And they listen.
Absolutely. So, during the war, Octavian's soldiers at Perugia used sling bullets inscribed with insults directed at Fulvia personally.
Because just remember, who's the bigger person here?
And Octavian wrote a vulgar epigram depicted at her in 40 BCE, referring to Antony's affair with the ex-courtesan queen of Cappadocia, Glaphyra.
Which I don't know how much of a courtesan she is. I don't know if that like was literally she used to be a courtesan and became queen, or they're saying she's a whore. But whatever.
Either way, it is recorded by Martial within one of his own poems. I am not going to read the Latin. I am just reading the translation. Spiteful censor of the Latin language read 6 insolent verses of Caesar Augustus.
So this is the quote. So that's the quote. So we're in the quote right now.
Quote, because Antony fucks Glaphyra, Fulvia has arranged this punishment for me, that I fuck her too. That I fuck Fulvia? What if Manius begged me to bugger him? Would I? I don't think so. If I were sane. Either fuck or fight, she says.
So that's a quote within the quote within the quote.
Doesn't she know my prick is dearer to me than life itself? Let the trumpets blare. Augustus, you certainly grant my clever little book's pardon, since you are the expert at speaking with Roman frankness.
We're congratulating this man, by the way. This is what we're dealing with.
This is Octavian.
And so, you've heard of mudslinging. You may have heard of shit slinging, but have you heard of dickhead slinging? Because that's where we are, guys.
Indeed.
The sling bullets are very significant because they demonstrate the gender dynamics of Rome at the time. No, don't you think so? And I hated the way they worded this, but they said that the sling bullets are a playful metaphor. I honestly don't
There's
think
nothing playful about that.
this. Playful, that's like, okay, like, maybe they threw some, like, it's like two neighbor kids or something, they throw something over the fence. This is literally people are fucking dying. This is not, and it's like directed, all this male rage is directed at this woman.
One woman.
Right.
Because she's vocal.
And had the audacity to honestly get shit done. And they didn't like it. And honestly just wanted people to be fair, but whatever. So there, at the end of the day, they're degrading, though, right? Like, they're, and honestly, like, oh, she just wants to fuck me, guys. She don't want to fuck you, Octavian, you fucking weird-headed motherfucker. This is why we have an explicit rating. But for real.
Indeed.
So the bullets themselves, by the way, were shaped like penis tips.
Gross.
They had glands and everything. And apparently that technical term for the bullets apparently shared the same meaning as literal, like the glands, right?
So the bullet, when you were shooting somebody with the bullet, you were piercing them with your penis.
Head. The glands specifically, yes.
The glands specifically, but that's enough. So we're playing just the tip?
Yes. But like it's also like one of those words where it's like a dual, like, I don't know, it feels like it's like a dual meaning. It's like depending on the context of the sentence, like there's words like if I say a cock, right, it could mean a dick or it could mean a rooster.
Indeed.
Right? And like if you're just looking at pictures, one has nothing to do with the other.
Sure.
But yeah. So the fact that her name is written on bullets shaped like penis tips, this is supporting the idea that she embodies apparently these masculine characteristics and is thus being ridiculed. Do you smell that, Courtney?
Smells like bullshit to me.
That smells like toxic masculinity to me. I think we need to open a window. It's stinking up in here.
It is musty.
God, like old balls or dick cheese. Since we're on the topic.
God, not the dick cheese.
Poor Fulvia. But it's her assertiveness and boldness that is being vilified here and is intended to undermine her legitimacy.
So, this gets to the heavy part. The siege at Perugia lasted 2 months before Octavian starved Lucius into surrender in February of 40 BCE.
Yeah, because, I mean, the campaigns, as we've kind of touched on before, usually don't take place this time of year. That means they've been holding out all winter. There was no food. There's no, like, it's not like they had fields or stuff. They're, like, people are already tight. And this came out of nowhere. There was no time to prepare. And so for 2 months, they were just holed up. It had to have been miserable.
So after Lucius's surrender, Fulvia fled to Greece with her children, as she should.
Right. I mean, she got the fuck out of Dodge, and I get it.
Being mom and getting her kids out of there.
I mean, and like they're going to paint her as being a coward, but whatever.
Appian writes that she met Antony in Athens, and he was upset with her involvement in the war.
Oh, Antony.
Antony then sailed back to Rome to deal with Octavian, and Fulvia died of an unknown illness in exile in Sicyon, near Corinth, Achaia. After her death, Antony and Octavian used it as an opportunity to blame all of their fighting on her.
Oh. You know, the thing is I don't want to believe it, right? I like to think that Antony... See, I'm conflicted right now. On the one hand, we have seen Antony loves a strong woman. He'll continue to love a strong woman. Their relationship seemed pretty solid. However, we have also seen him trade up. And
several times.
And is this trading up?
Because he already had Egyptian Queen Pasquale.
And also, like, has Fulvia... is she expendable now? Like, she's no longer useful. And so... He's like, if I just throw her under the bus, it can just be like it never happened.
Indeed. And that just...
And
that hurts.
And I just don't also see... Oh, and then it is pretty convenient she just dies from a quote-unquote mysterious illness.
I don't believe that either. Like, there's something in me that's just saying, absolutely the fuck not. Either the theory that you put forward earlier, where she was told to end herself, or... My theory was more of Octavian got somebody to poison her.
Right, or I hate to say it, I don't think it's Antony's MO. Maybe Antony? I don't know. I just something, right? And I don't know, because she's a loose end, right?
Correct.
And I like to think that she would never do that to herself, but also we have to remember the culture. There were plenty of strong people we have a whole slew of them who've done that to themselves. So I mean, maybe it just looked desperate for her. Like, who else? But I like to think she still has people who love her and a power base, and she don't need no man. But like, I don't know. We don't know. We'll never know, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. So according to Plutarch, quote, there was even more opportunity for a reconciliation with Caesar. For when Antony reached Italy, and Caesar manifestly intended to make no charges against him, and Antony himself was ready to put upon Fulvia the blame for whatever was charged against himself.
So when we say Caesar, we don't mean, JC. We mean
Octavian.
Yeah, because he, spoiler alert, becomes emperor. So
He becomes emperor, but he also inherited everything from Caesar in the first place.
Caesar's a title, to be fair.
Correct.
So it's like, no, it's not Caesar. Caesar has not risen again. He's not that JC, but
Correct.
But anyway.
So after Fulvia's death, Antony married Octavian's sister, Octavian Minor.
Which I just want to point out, no spoilers, but there's going to be some irony, and I hope I remember it. Because, anyway.
To publicly demonstrate his reconciliation with Octavian. But Antony never regained his position and influence in Italy.
Yeah, because he thought, if I throw this bitch under the bus, it'll just go back to normal, but no. She had been trying to warn you. She had been like, dude, get your ass back here, right?
Stop fucking around with foreign queens and get this shit done.
Yeah, and they try to paint this whole picture where, like, it's all because she was just jealous of Cleo, and, like, she started this whole war, apparently, guys, just to have him come back for attention.
Totally.
8 legions were willing to die for her, plus that second army.
All because she didn't want him to fuck another woman?
And jealous, and wanted
Super
attention.
Jealous.
Right. People don't die for you for that, okay?
No, they don't.
No. She had political beliefs. She saw what was going on was wrong. And unfortunately, her loyalty was repaid. I don't want to say doing the right thing, because I don't know if there's right or wrong in this case, but loyalty anyway, fairness anyway, was repaid for by the man she cared about and did all this for and sacrificed for, to throw her under the bus. Yeah.
Men.
Yeah. Once Antony and Octavia were married, she then took in and reared all of Fulvia's children, because that's what Octavia is going to be known for, which is kind of messed up, as being essentially this nun who takes care of all the fucking Antony orphans. What the fuck? But anyway, like a good Roman woman should. But so the fate of Fulvia's daughter, the one that Octavian had divorced there, her name was Claudia Plucra, by the way. We don't know what happened to her because she's a woman. The last thing we know about her is that she got dumped by this twerp. That's her legacy. Her son, Marcus Antonius Antillus, was eventually executed by Octavian in Alexandria, Egypt in 30 BC. Her youngest son, however, Illus Antonius, would eventually be spared by Octavian. How gracious of him.
How kind.
And raised from 40 BC by Octavian Minor. And there's a trend here. If they're young enough to manipulate or groom,
we're keeping them.
He keeps them. But if they're too old,
they gotta go.
They end up fucking off and telling them where to shove it, and then they end up dead. So, if you can get them young, they can live.
Creepy.
Yeah. So Illus married Octavia's daughter, keep it in the family, and Octavian's niece, Claudia Marcella Major, because, Octavia's daughter, Octavian's niece, God, these names, and they would eventually have a son, also called Lucius Antonius, and possibly a daughter, Iula Antonia. Because again, she's a woman, so So, on that note, that's where we're going to leave it, on a bummer. But don't worry, guys. We know Antony can't stay away from Cleo for long.
No.
So, it's just so unfortunate for Octavia. This poor girl, too. Like no one has a happy ending here, okay?
No one has a happy ending.
But that's where we're going to leave it for this week.
If you like what you heard today, please give us a positive review on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on. It goes a long way for us to appease the algorithm gods and get this suggested to others just like you. The more that we can connect to our fellow history nerds, the more that we can build up a community and keep this show going.
Also, we have a Patreon where you can hang out with us and get exclusive content like videos where we might try to make some ancient recipes, talk about topics that couldn't fit into the main arcs of the podcast, and just generally being batshit and dumpster fires, all for the price of a latte per month. Research materials, books, all that costs a lot of money, and it takes a lot of time to create this show. So anything you can provide for us would be a huge help.
We can't wait to see you again next week, and as always, thanks for listening.
Bye for now.